today we have the Mitchell twins. So Reagan and Rhana Mitchell. So it's funny, I met you guys was it y'all's 18th
It
year?
was our 18 season, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 18th season at Tsunami. You guys were getting coached by Tad, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, coached by Tad. Really, I think that might have been my first season at Tsunami or second. I don't remember, but
I think it was your first.
it probably was my
Yeah.
first. Yeah. It was the first time you guys saw a bunch of Asians running around, right?
Where are all these
Who
people?
are
These people just showing up, just hanging out now.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was like I didn't really know anything about volleyball at that time. I was more of like trying to learn from as many people as possible. So I was really kind of just basically a practice player to you guys.
Yeah.
Quick question though. Did you guys ever even think of me as a coach, or were you just like, oh, he's just a guy just, around?
Uh, I don't know, because I can't remember I can't remember necessarily the first day we met, but it's like, you and Alex and
Brian?
and who else? Brian. I don't know. You guys were just like always there. We knew you guys were going to like be with us.
Mhm.
I don't know if I saw you in like
But
a coaching.
yeah, but
I wouldn't see
like,
myself as a coach either.
yeah, I think we knew it was you guys were trying to learn more about volleyball,
And you're just kind of
and
like
so
hanging
you were
out
kind of
with
like
us.
hanging out.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And just playing with us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like the more like because I see Bao and like Brian, like the another Brian and Josh and them, and I wonder what the girls think about them sometimes.
I mean, with Josh though, like he's actually like I think
Yeah.
they like because we were older, so like we were already, but his girls are like 13, so they probably think he's like really old or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's different coaching 18s when you were like kind of like when I was like 21 or 20, yeah,
Yeah.
21. And when we're that close in age and I don't know anything about volleyball, like you can tell. So that's why I didn't give any feedback really, because I was like, these girls know way more than me. Like they're not gonna listen to me. I don't know anything. So I really was just trying to absorb everything. But yeah, 18th year, that was like 10.
10 years ago.
10 years
That's
ago.
not 10 years ago.
Yeah,
No,
me
it
and
was
Rick
10 years
are
ago.
28 now. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah.
wow.
So
Wow.
no, 10 years.
Okay, so you guys are Tsunami alums. You guys were coached by Tad, and then you went on to play at Virginia Tech. Did you guys play at McIntosh in high school?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
that's
guys played at McIntosh in high school. So that was just our brief introduction. I want to ask like how did you guys start volleyball? What's your volleyball journey like? And just who you guys are. So go ahead.
So we started, well, we have an older sister, Morgan. She started playing volleyball around 15, maybe. So she started at Tsunami, and then when we were 10, that's when we started first taking lessons from Den. So we would just go to a gym and just kind of play around. So that was our first introduction. And then we started playing 12s, and then we just continued playing club throughout that time. And then went to Virginia Tech, played there. I stayed 5 years. Rena played 4 years. And then we just decided to come back to Tsunami and coach. Well, they reached out to us.
well, yeah. Well, so Reagan stayed at Virginia Tech for 5 years, and I had already graduated, so I came back home.
Mhm.
And so then Tad knew I was home because I think I told him or something like that, and he was just like, "Raina, if you're not doing anything,
If you weren't.
because I wasn't doing anything, why don't you come to practice? Because this was December, so teams have already been made and stuff. But he knew I
Mhm.
was talking about. He said just like come to a couple of practices and all this stuff, and so I went, and I was like, I kind of miss this, and so then I just started coaching from then on, and so this is my how many years I've been coaching it? So I know. Was it season, I guess?
Six?
Yeah.
Dang, it's been a minute.
2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, I think this is my sixth team. Reagan took a little bit of break when she was in nursing school.
Yeah.
But I convinced her to come back. So now she can't coach any team without me. So we're or Tad, well, or Tad, really. We call ourselves the dream team. And so,
Yeah.
so yeah. Um, yeah, like Reagan said, we played together our entire lives. We went to college. We said that we are going to the same college. And whatever school is gonna have both of us, that's where we're gonna go. So Virginia Tech is where we landed. And so I'm thankful for that journey. And now we're back home and I love coaching now. Um, it's made me love volleyball even more. And so
Really?
yeah, so I'm excited.
That's interesting. Why does it make you love volleyball even more?
Well, there wasn't so, and this is what a lot of girls don't know, because you go through a club playing with mostly the same people that you kind of grew up with. So that whole team bonding kind of thing really makes the experience.
Hmm.
And you go to college, which is a complete 180 where it really becomes more of like a job because you're there, you're working out every day, you're practicing every day, you're always traveling, you got to keep up with your schoolwork. And so it gets really hard. And so by the time I was ready to leave Virginia Tech, I had swore to myself that I was never, ever, 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 ever going to touch a volleyball ever again in my life.
Wow.
Because it had gotten so bad. I literally threw away all of my volleyball stuff. Like when I cleaned out my locker, I gave away all my stuff to my teammates that were still there. And I said, I'm never touching a volleyball. And so when Tad had asked me to coach, I was like, I really don't want to do this. But I'm actually really glad I did because just coaching the girls and just being on the other end of it and seeing their love and passion for it has reignited my passion for volleyball. So
Oh.
actually really grateful for Tad for reaching out to me when I was in a depressive state.
What about you, Reagan?
I do like coaching. I think I think just being around volleyball, like I always, Rhana and I, we always watch volleyball, like college volleyball. We just recently went to the volleyball national championship in Tampa, so that was really fun. But I do like coaching. I like the more strategic side, so I'm not going to say I like being at practice all the time. But I really love going to tournaments and doing the games
Like
and
just
being with
coaching
the
the game,
girls and
yeah.
just like coaching with the girls. So I
Mhm.
do enjoy it. I think I enjoy it more just with being with Raina and Tad, but
Mhm.
I think they like it more than me. But I do enjoy it. I'm not saying that I don't like it. I do like it. I just like because I was a setter, so I just kind
Yeah.
of more like
See
the
game differently.
strategy
Yeah.
and stuff. So just doing like drills all day. I don't know. Gets a
Yeah.
little boring
It's not your
sometimes.
forte.
I feel
Yeah.
that. Did you experience the same, I guess, burnout as Reina when you went to college?
I I don't think it was as bad as Reina because I was the starting setter. It was hard. And then my senior year, I call it the yips. I started getting really anxious playing. Like when I was setting, I was doubling a lot. Like just the feel of the ball was just really off. So that was giving me even more like anxiety. So like my mental was not there. So that was challenging my last year. So I kind of did the same thing where I was like, I don't know if I can like play volleyball. And I know you guys would be like, Rhana Rhegan, come play. And I'm like, no,
I
like
can't.
I can't. And it's crazy. Like even after I finished playing, like I would still get so nervous.
Just mess
Like
around.
messing around with the ball. Like if we did any camps like at Tsunami or something, I'm like, I cannot demo. Like I will double the ball. Like the anxiety was so bad. But I'm out of that now.
Yeah,
It's
gotten better over
it's
time.
gotten better. I think
s-
just being around the girls and stuff,
I
and
still get the
then
serving yips every
yeah, not
now and
taking
then.
it as seriously. Because
Mm,
yeah, it was more my mental health was like kind of bad at the end, so I did give myself a break. But I'm glad I'm back into it, and I like have more fun now.
I see.
Um,
Can we talk dive a little bit deeper on the anxiety side of like competing in volleyball because I think that's important for, the young athletes to kind of hear and have a perspective of someone who kind of went through it, and some things that might help, like an athlete that is going through like anxiety when they're playing, like what do you feel like has helped you when you were going through that? And how, like, why do you think you were anxious, and like what made you anxious and stuff like that?
So for me, it was really hard for me because I have always been super confident in my abilities, like super confident in myself as a player. Like I, loved the spotlight and everything like that. So like my first few years at college, like I was doing amazing. Like I had gotten the starting position, like we were doing well. And then, we had a coaching change. We were still doing pretty good, but we weren't winning as much. So that takes a lot of toll on you, in that environment when you're losing, the coaches, that's their livelihood, really. So it just gets really intense. It gets exhausting, going to play a game and you're not winning, and then everyone's mad at each other and yelling and all that stuff like that. And then my senior year, I think I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself. Like I was a captain. It was my last year. I was like, I really got to turn this program around. And I guess that's what I felt like. I thought I really had to turn the program around by myself. Yeah. And then it was just out of nowhere, like one day, like we were in spring practices and I like walked in and I like all of a sudden just like could not set a volleyball. I was like, what is going on? It's like my hands were like going numb and stuff like that. Um, but I was thankful because like the coach I had, she had told me that she had another setter that kind of had experienced that. So like I'm really grateful for her because she like took me aside. We talked through it. Like we kind of changed how I was setting and she wasn't mad or anything. Like she was super like encouraging. So I was able to get through the season. And I think too, like when you're playing volleyball, like you just have to stop thinking so much. So like during the game, like I would be fine. I don't know. It was just in the heat of the moment, you're just like, okay, I know what to do. But it really was just like in practices and then outside of the game that I was like constantly thinking about it. But yeah, that just takes it takes a really bad mental toll on your health, especially when it's like as athletes, a lot of times we think that's the only thing like we're good at because we don't really do much outside of like playing your sport. So when your sport's not going good, then you're just like, what do I kind of have? So like I think finding stuff outside of volleyball or whatever sport you're playing is good, like having hobbies, having friends that you can talk to. It's it's hard, but it's a process, honestly. So it gets better.
Yeah. I think for me, so, all through when me and Reagan started playing, all through high school, like super confident, like I was an outside hitter, like, you know, you like when you're in your state and you're like winning state championships, and our club team that the year prior we had won the nationals and stuff, so you're like really confident, and all of a sudden you get to campus and now you're like playing with girls 4 years older than you, and you're like, oh man, I wasn't as good as I thought. And so, and I've always been a hard worker, and one of the same coach that Reagan was talking about, one thing she told me that I really appreciate, she said, I appreciate like how consistent you are. Whether we're in practice or in games, I know what I'm going to expect from you. But it's hard though, because I was losing a lot of confidence because, all through high school, I was an outside hitter. And then when I got to college, the coach that recruited us, obviously I was too short to play outside. I'm only 5'9". So I had never trained necessarily as a DS. Like I love playing defense, but serve receive,
So
mental.
receive different.
I know that's like a different thing. And then, you get to the college level, that's totally, it was just a lot. And
Yeah.
so, you start struggling and then you start losing confidence, and you start doubting yourself. And then I started getting injured a lot. Like I've always had issues with my back. And so I was like fine my freshman year, and then I just started getting more injuries and stuff, you know, always working out and lifting heavy weights and stuff and playing 5 days a week and stuff. It takes a toll on your body. So I was battling a lot of injuries. So it's like that. And then like your confidence, and you're just like, oh my gosh, is this really what I want to do? And then like Reagan said, we weren't like really playing well. So when the volleyball aspect is literally your job,
Mhm.
uh, you know, it takes a toll on the rest of your life. So because you're with the same people 24/7. So like everybody's feelings are like compounded into this like just like one entity. And so like, you know, you're taking on everybody else's feelings. It's like the coaches are struggling, we're struggling. Yeah, and it's just like not a good place for your mental health. So you know, after I had my final injury, I wasn't able to finish out my senior season because I had hurt my back really bad for the last time basically. Like I can't play anymore. And then, you know, after you're done, after playing for what, almost 15 years, you're like, now what do I do?
Mm.
Um, and you realize it's like, hey, I don't know if I was able to build an identity outside of volleyball. So now it's like, I don't know who I am. Um, and so like Reagan said, making sure like you find something that you're passionate about outside of volleyball, and making sure that you have friends that aren't connected to your team. Cause
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to not have to talk about volleyball 24/7, especially when it's like things are going bad. So then you get home to your apartment with your teammates and
You
you
just
keep constantly talking about volleyball. And you're like,
Yeah.
when do I ever get away from it? So you definitely need that separation. I would say for like girls going into college and even girls now, I think, and I've seen this a lot with my teams. Um, you know, I don't know what, well, I do know why, but a lot of girls put all this pressure on themselves to be perfect. And when, you know, you're free from that idea that, you know, one mistake is going to cost us everything, and you're able to play with more joy. Um, you know, I think that's the breakthrough that I want for like all the girls that I've coached. Because especially at this young age, you know, it shouldn't be a chore to like play club with your teammates. Like that was the most fun thing for me and Reagan. And we still talk about like the teams that we were on in club, and that was the most fun we've had. So I get really sad when I see like my young girls like 14 and all that stuff, like feeling like they have to be like this perfect volleyball player and can never make mistakes and put all this pressure on themselves. And I'm just like, yeah, you have the rest of your life. I'm like, you don't even know like this is supposed to be the most fun. And I'm like, and so I hate for them to feel like that at such a young age, because then you get burned out and then, you know, end up not wanting to play in college, which I think
Mhm.
even though our experience, like we had like hard times during our college experience, like I would still do the same thing over again, because it's like
Mhm.
that's the experience that not everybody gets to have. Um, and it made me the person who I am now. So I'm still grateful for it. Um,
Nice. Nice. That's some great insights. Love that. Let's talk about some of the more fun you
yeah.
know fun times that you guys had with volleyball. I'm thinking specifically about your national championship team at Tsunami, which from my understanding is the only national championship that Tsunami has won is with you guys. So talk a little bit about that season, and like what are the key components do you guys think in that makes a championship level team?
I mean, so Raina and we started playing a year up after our 14th season. Um, so me and Raina have always been competitive, probably too much sometimes. So we did make that decision. We wanted to play at a higher level. And so the girls we played with, Tegan and Annika, Van Gunst, Brianna Jones, that we all knew each other. Some of us were at the same high school, and then some of them were at the like other crosstown high school. But we decided to play together. our first team, actually, I was looking back at it, we only had 9 people on our 16s team that year.
Really?
Yeah,
was
and we got third place at nationals that year. But I think the joy of playing like with 9 girls is that everyone has to do everything. Like
Mhm.
no one can come out. It's just you guys.
Yeah.
There's no subs at all. Um, so I think doing that, like starting 16's year, really set us up for that 18 seasons championship because um I don't know,
You just get more confident.
you just get more confident, yeah.
because you're always touching the ball.
And then that 18's year, we did have more girls on the team. But it was a fun year. Like I think with us, like a lot of the girls, like if we knew we wanted to play volleyball in college, we had to get scholarships.
Mhm.
Like some of the girls weren't financially able to go to college without playing volleyball. So that, and then I just think like our teammates, like all of us,
There was a competitive.
yeah, we
edge.
always wanted to be competitive. We all of us loved winning. Like if we lost, like we would get not say you should get really, really mad, but like we hated losing to no end. And I think just I don't know, all of us loved volleyball, all of us loved competing. We actually played really well together. Like even if we did get mad with each other, like it was like, okay, whatever, next
Everybody has a
game.
job you did too.
Yeah, like, and I think I don't know, we just had so much fun. And if you've ever met the Van Gunst twins,
Oh, I got hit in the face by one of them.
you know how competitive they are. Our libero,
She's the best libero. So
Abby Baker, she's probably one of the best liberos I've ever played with, like just with her intensity, and drive. So all of our teammates, I don't know, we just
we all had the same goal.
yeah.
And it wasn't like a selfish like we have to win because I want to win. It was like we have to win because we want to win, you know. And so that cohesiveness on a team, I don't think I've ever had that since then. Just everybody's fighting for the same thing, and I think that's what makes most teams great. When you look at the really great teams, it's like everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that about that season.
Yeah, for sure. Because, as coaches, sometimes it feels like, and this is like when we get so frustrated, it feels like we want the girls to get better and play better and win more than they want to do it. And that's when it gets really like, why am I even here if you guys don't want it? And that's what makes it tough sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Talk a little bit about like the competitive side of it, because I do feel like sometimes I see a lot of teams. I just like they think they're competitive, but
Yeah.
like there's a different level to like competitiveness. Obviously competitiveness is on a spectrum. It's like how competitive are you? And like watching competitive players play is different. It's like they they react to things certain like differently. They react to losing differently. And obviously there's a balance, but like tell me how you guys were able to like balance the competitiveness without being I guess too harsh. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, do you guys get what I'm trying to say?
I think and I touched on like how Rain and I decided to move up. I think
Yeah.
that was our biggest reason is just I felt like
We weren't being
not that we weren't being pushed as a team, but like I think our teammates, it was more of a like obviously volleyball is fun, like playing club is fun, but me and Raina were taking it really seriously. We were in the gym all the time. We were training all the time. And we just didn't feel like the girls' goals aligned. So that's why we made the decision to move up. And I might sound a little crazy, but like when I played, like I wanted to like kill the other. Like I want to be like embarrass them. And I know that sounds a little like crazy, but like
Yeah.
that was my goal. Like, and even as a setter, I was like, I want to make these blockers like look so dumb right now. that like they don't even like they're just gonna like give up. And the crazy thing was all of our teammates on that team that like with Tegan, Monica, and Brianna Jones and Abby, like all of us felt the same way.
That's amazing.
And like our rivals, you know, A5, when we would play the A5 team, like you would think like this was like we were going to war.
Mhm.
And like we should have sportsmanship in volleyball, yes. But like the arguing, the comments, like it was literally like we thought it was like a battle to the death. But that was those times were like so much fun. Like
Yeah.
Playing games were so
just
much
playing
fun.
those games, like the high stakes, like everyone's watching you. You're those were good times. And not that there's not like competitiveness, because like there's obviously like sprinkles here, but like I just a lot of times like now I just don't feel like I don't know if the girls are like scared to have that like side come out of them, because it's
Mhm.
not like a people would probably think that we were like
Over the top.
or like we were really like mean or something like that. But like there's ways to be competitive and not be like kind of crazy. And I don't think like me and Rhana ever got like crazy or anything, but it was just like, I don't know. I just, some people said there was like a look,
There's a certain
like there's a
in your
look in
eyes.
your eyes that know that you want to like
That's
win
so
at no
funny.
matter what cost.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think for like nowadays, I don't know. And I'm not trying to blame like social media and stuff, but I feel like girls nowadays have so much pressure to like be a certain way.
Mhm.
So, and I've talked to some girls about this. It's just like to them, it's like almost embarrassing in a way to like put yourself out there,
Yeah.
especially if they don't get the results that they're hoping for. So then they're like, why try? And, we always try to explain to our girls, it's like, you can be a certain way off the court, but it's like, as soon as you step inside those lines, it's like, it's totally okay to become a different person.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
like, it's not saying like you're a bad person or you're not like a good volleyball player or, what this, but, I would love to see a lot of the girls nowadays just like put all of those like insecurities behind and just like play free. And I think that's what a lot of the youth these days miss out on. Because it's like they just feel like they have to be a certain way.
Mhm.
And when you put inside that box, I'm like, you're always constantly thinking about, well, if I go too hard and I hit the ball out, then I'm gonna look stupid or whatever. And I'm like, it's fine. I was like, keep trying until you get it. But
Mhm.
and so that's what I think that's a little bit of the difference nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's hard to coach girls to like be more confident. And so really all you can do is kind of like encourage them. And me and Rhana try to play and practice and stuff. And Tad's always like, see, this is why I love the twins so much, because I'm like, even if I'm your coach and like you're younger
Yeah.
than me, you're still not gonna win.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I refuse. Like you're gonna have to beat me if we're playing in practice.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully by us like doing that, it shows them, that they can play with more confidence and they can be more competitive on stuff. So
Honestly, I think when we're playing though, the girls get like a
they get a
little
little
scared
scared.
of us.
Yeah.
It's like me and Raina, like we're like yelling and we're like running like circles around the court when we do
Yeah.
something good. Like
Just that passion and energy.
yeah. So
There's glimpses like for our team this year, like there's glimpses like when they do something really good, they get really fired up. I just want them to have that all the time because they're so athletic and they're so
Mhm.
gifted and stuff. And when they let go of like all of the insecurities and the doubts and all that stuff, oh, they're
Yeah.
gonna be so good.
I think too, like everyone tries to like not hurt anyone's feelings, and it's like
Mhm.
no,
Yeah.
it's okay to be mean sometimes. Like as
Yeah.
long as you guys can talk it out
Leave it.
after, leave it on the court, like off
Yeah.
the court, you're fine. But like it is okay to get onto your teammates, and not in a bad way, but as a like, hey,
You need to do
I
that job.
expect you to do this so that I can do this, and we're gonna work together. And I
Mhm.
think too, like with our team and club, like we were not hesitant to like kind of get onto each other.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we were still friends. So like when you can have that balance of,
Holding each other
holding
accountable.
each other accountable,
Mhm.
I think a lot of teams will see like a lot of strides and stuff like that. Because then if your team can hold themselves accountable, your coach isn't always like
Trying to.
trying to. Because I, as a coach, I think a lot for me, like that's the part that gets like exhausting. And any girl that has ever played volleyball and always wanted to complain about their coach, go coach
coach.
after volleyball because
You'll see a different
you'll
side.
see a different side, honestly. Like I remember I saw my assistant coach for the first time after I started coaching. I was like, I am so sorry. Like I probably was terrible. And he's like, no, but I was like, no, I like apologize. I understand your guys' frustrations 100% now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is okay to be mean. And I'm
Mhm.
just gonna say that. Not all the time, but it's okay to be mean sometimes
Yeah.
to get what you want.
Yeah.
Especially I think the challenge is like understanding that when it's within the game and the game's done, like no hard feelings, you know,
Yeah.
like that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Because I feel like sometimes they don't want to, well, they don't want to do that. It's because they're scared of what's going to happen after the game and the
Mhm.
social repercussions and all that stuff.
And that's why I appreciate like guys volleyball and stuff and like guys sports in general, because it's like guys are just, you guys are different. And so it's
Yeah.
like you guys can get fired up and like hold each other accountable and all that stuff. And like that's just part of the game.
It's just
And
part of
as
the
soon as
game.
we step outside the lines, like we're fine. I think for a lot of girls,
We have so many emotions.
we have yes, we have so many emotions, but we internalize those feelings. So if you get onto a girl about like missing a pass or like hitting the ball or whatever, she's then gonna internalize that, be like, oh, she doesn't like me, like,
Yeah.
oh, she hates me right now. And I'm like,
Like,
no,
no.
I still love you. I'm
Yeah.
just letting you know you didn't do your job in that moment. We're still friends of like we have no beef. Like we're literally fine. And I think with
Especially
girls
the younger
and
girls.
with especially the younger girls, they don't know the difference between like someone trying to be like, okay, let's go or whatever, and then be like, oh, she doesn't like me.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it too, which is sad. I think once they can get over that, they can grow a lot more.
I don't know where I heard this quote. I don't remember because it was a long time ago, but I heard this is the difference between guys and girls sports is guys fight to bond and then girls bond to fight. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of true because a lot of times when guys fight, they get closer because oh yeah, like I know you got my back. Like you're just holding me accountable so that we can both be better.
Yeah.
But girls, it almost feels like you have to be able to bond first in order to fight, or else if you guys fight first, then you're just gonna be like, she don't like me, she don't like me. I'm not gonna fight for her because she don't like me and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one thing I learned um growing up, and it's like, whatever perception people have of you, all you have to do is just like talk to the other person, and then you figure out it's like, hey, I don't even know why I didn't like you in the first place.
I know.
Because it's like, I judged you so harshly and I didn't even know you. And now that I know you, now we're like best friends. And I don't know why. And a lot of people, not just girls and guys do that too, but it's like if people could just be like, hey, I'm gonna try to get to know this person first before judging them,
Yeah.
regardless of what they say, I'm gonna figure out like, hey, we have a lot more in common and we're actually gonna probably be best friends in the end. And I think with volleyball, you look at girls, but I don't like her and blah, 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 like this
I
because
used to do that,
because they hit a ball really good and then they looked at you through the net and went, I hate her, like all this stuff. Like, you know what? That was a really good hit.
But you know what's funny? Like also like because we were talking about being competitive, like I feel like if you make up stories about the other team in your head, like, oh, they did this to slight me, like then you're fired up. And it's funny because our college coach used to do, she would come and she's like, I just heard the team's coach telling the girls that you guys aren't all that and blah blah and all this stuff. So we would get like real mad. And then after the game, she's like, oh, I was just lying about that. And I'm just like, what? Like, but I used to do that too. Like, I would just be like,
she looked at me.
This girl served the ball and hit us in the huddle. We got to go after her now. Like little things like that. Like, she rolled the ball under the court, like knowing.
Which actually funny, 2 years ago when me and Tad we were coaching a 15-2 team, we were down at AAU's in Orlando. And so we had played this one team like during pool play, and then it was the last day. It was the crossover match to get to gold.
Mhm.
And so the first time we played them, like they beat us really bad, like whatever. And so the crossover match, we're all standing around the court, and like I'm watching the team we're about to play. Like our girls went off to warm up. I told them warm up, all the stuff. And the team we're about to play, they had already beat us. They didn't warm up at all.
Oh.
And so when the girls came back, I told them, they don't respect you. It's like they think it's going to be an easy win. They sat here this whole time, did not warm up. They stood up, went to the bench, ready to play because they think they're going to beat you. When I tell you it was the best my team has ever played, because they just felt so disrespected that they were like going to show up, and we ended up winning. It was glorious. And, and so it's like, and then after the game, me and Tad were like, I mean, yeah, technically they didn't warm up, but like we had told them, like they were talking about us in their huddle, and like the parents got in on it too. They're like, yeah, we heard them when we walked past. They were saying stuff about you guys and blah blah blah. And we're like, yeah, none of that was true, you guys. But I'm like, but imagine like if y'all just played this fired up all the time.
Yeah, I wish girls could just do that.
Imagine like what our season could have been,
Yeah.
And so it's like they get these glimpses of like greatness and stuff, but then it's like you gotta capitalize on that. It's like you gotta keep going with that. And you
Mhm.
see it a little bit like these sparks, and then they just kind of fizzle out. And I'm just like, oh, why? I was like, didn't it feel so good to play that hard?
Mhm.
And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so why don't we do it all the time? Just
Yeah.
please.
Like I'm begging you.
It is so interesting to me sometimes. Like once you almost feel like you unlocked a new level, why go back?
Why go
Yeah.
back? It's like that all the time. I was like, y'all just, and
But I think too, it's like it's hard to maintain like that level of intensity and
Yeah.
like focus.
yeah,
It is so like even in college, like it was hard for me to do that too. Like even to this day. So like it's exhausting. You're
Yeah.
exhausted. And people aren't used to being like exhausted. And I remember my
Like,
coach in
mentally
college,
exhausted, yeah.
like she and I would get mad when she would say, she's like, you guys don't know what it's like to work hard. And I would get so mad at her and I'd be like, I am literally like, I feel like I'm killing myself right now.
Mm.
And then finally, I think like as a team, we like realized like, yeah, she's right. We think we're working hard, but we're really not. And then we started getting like way better. So like a lot of, I even in life, like you think you're doing something, but like you're really not using like your max like potential. Because it is hard.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they'll get it. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the hardest part is maintaining that intensity and focus for long periods of time, because it's like you can do it for like 1 or 2 points. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
especially like when you're winning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like
You're winning
when
and
you're
you-
losing is when you need it the most. And like when you're losing, you just don't you already don't feel good. So like
you're just
it
like,
has to become like kind of a habit and like just part of who you are as an athlete to be able to maintain that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's can you share some insights or advice for athletes wanting to compete at the next level? So college.
I just think, it's just, I know, and I know it's hard for like younger girls to like see themselves when they're about to go to college. So like, our girls are 14 now, and so they still have like 4 years until they get to that point. But honestly, that time goes by so fast. And it's like you blink. Like I remember like some of the girls are 18s now. I remember when I saw them they were 13. And I was like, now you guys are literally about to graduate and go to college.
Mhm.
So, in that long but short amount of time, if that's something that you really want to do, like go play at the college level, you're gonna have to put in the extra work.
Mhm.
We only, for our club's practices, we only practice 3 days a week, like 2 hours, maybe a little bit over, but honestly, it's just not enough time. So if you really want to get to the next level, it's like you're gonna have to do extra clinics, you're gonna have to go to camps, you're gonna have to go work out and do extra training and stuff, and you're gonna have to do extra reps before people come in the gym. You might have to stay after and do extra reps with your coach. And I think for a lot of girls, they don't understand that. So then when they do get older, they look back and be like, dang, like I really wish I would have put some extra time into it when I was younger so I could be better now.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of girls actually have the potential, but they only tap into it when it's too late though.
Yeah.
So, and especially with the recruiting, like it's changed now because when we were getting recruited, like they could recruit you basically at any age, but now they changed it to where you can't get recruited till the end of what is it?
Recruited.
Well, recruiting. The end of technically
like
what was it, 16th season in the summer or something?
Yeah.
Technically. So like I mean, yes, that's better, but they're still the coaches are still checking for people and stuff.
Mhm.
They have the girls that they want.
Mhm.
So I mean, just making sure you do all that so that when the time does come, you can put forth your best effort on the court so that as many coaches can see you as possible. Because I think that's what girls don't understand too. It's like, yes, you can email coaches and they can come find you, but your best opportunity is when you're on day 3 of the tournament and you're on the gold bracket
on the top
Mm.
court.
on the top court. That's when the most people are going to come see you. And so that's when you're going to get the most letters and the offers and stuff because they saw you in that moment and they know that your team is better than most because you're in the gold at the end. So just striving towards that, I think, just that winning attitude.
Yeah. I think too, like when you're picking a school, I know we have like dreams and stuff like that, but be realistic.
Mhm.
Um, and then, don't write off that like lower level program just because that's not where you would like see yourself ending up because like I know some girls that may have went to like a lower level, what they would say a lower level school or D2 or whatever, but they're like killing it.
They're killing it.
So don't write off like those programs. Um, and then also just make sure when you're doing your recruiting process, really take the time to like find your best fit and don't like have your mom like doing all your like correspondence or something like that. Like actually get the time, like know your coach, when you go visit, like really talk to the girls on the team, like see how they like it, tell them not to lie to you. But also like I think it's important to find a school like if I am not playing volleyball, do I still see myself at this place? Because you never know what happens also, but like finding a school that like you would just enjoy being there because that makes a difference too. Like like even like me and Raina had our struggles sometimes at Virginia Tech, but
I still
like I really liked being at Virginia Tech. Like I love the campus, I love the people, like I just like love the atmosphere. Um, so yeah, I would say that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think at the end of the day, it's like it's just knowing yourself really. It's like how much am I willing to put in? So it's like there's different schools that match everybody's style. So it's like there's schools that, don't practice as much, So if that's what you're looking for, make sure you're reaching out to those schools. If you know that you want volleyball to be like your 24/7 job, it's like, okay, you can go to those schools. But just knowing yourself before you actually get there, and which is hard. Because what I found is a lot of girls get to schools and then they realize it wasn't what they wanted, and then they have to go through like all of this like mental anguish, trying to either one pick a different school to go to or like trying to decide between whether they want to even continue playing volleyball.
Mhm.
And I think if you kind of do that work before you decide on a school and make sure it's really right for you and what you're willing to put in, I think your 4 years would just be like much more happier. So
That is great advice. Great advice. Because yeah, like playing college. Well, I never played in college, so I wouldn't know. But I've seen so many players get burnt out in college. Like so many of players that I personally coach, they go to college, they play, and then they just stop, kind of basically stop loving the game, and then they don't really reignite, just like Reina, reignite that passion for the game until they start coaching again. So yeah, just those are great advice. Now how just a little, segue. How was it like being twins growing up playing volleyball?
I mean,
Well, you know what's funny? And it's like, I don't know if this is like a twin thing, but like me and Reagan know a lot of sets of twins.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so, and now a lot of the twins we knew growing up, like we could, because like I think one time in high school, we're like out of in our senior class, we would be like, these people are twins, they're triplets, they're twins. And I was like, I don't know why. That was really weird. But they weren't like they were fraternal twins, so like boy girl or just like fraternal general. So me and Reagan, besides these maybe other two boys, were identical. And I think there's a difference between like being identical twins and like fraternal twins.
yeah.
um and so, and you know, we played with our sisters, like our middle sister, she was a senior when we were freshmen. um but I mean, just playing with your twin, and people don't get this because they're not twins, but
Mhm.
it's just, it's my twin. And you know, there's a certain and deeper level bond between us two. So that's why I said, you know, we weren't going to college without each other, because me
Yeah.
and Reagan had literally never been apart. I think the only time we had been apart was Reagan had stayed here to do a camp, and I went to an Auburn camp one summer.
It
When
was
I
only like
tell
2 days.
I was probably like 2 or 3 days, like the camp was so short. But when I tell you, like, it was the worst 3 days of my life. Um, like literally, I remember calling my mom, and I'd like call Reagan or whatever. I'd be like, I hate it so much.
I
Like,
know
I
my mom
can't.
is like, Raina's crying and Reagan's crying.
But that was the first time we had ever been apart. And I think, how old were we? Like 13 or 14 maybe?
Yeah.
Um, And so just like, you know, and then, you know, just always having your sister there. I mean, you always have somebody that's rooting for you.
Yeah.
Like no matter what. It's literally whatever I do, Reagan's got my back. And so just being able to play with her, and like we just, you know, our twin telepathy, whatever you want to call it, we literally like just we would just look at each other.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, this is what's gonna go down right now. Let me out, be like, what, or whatever. And like people had no clue.
I literally like just tap my
we
head
would just
and then like
that was our signal.
like, okay, like let's go.
Yeah.
I think probably our teammates would get so mad though. Our
Yeah.
sisters, like our older sisters, get mad because they're like, I know you like Raina more than you like us. And I'm like, it's not that I like her more. It's just
We've literally been
literally,
together
like-
our entire life.
this is literally like my like soulmate right here. Like I don't know. We've
Like,
never really been apart.
From our creation, we've been together.
So
Have a bond.
but it's so fun. It's
was
just fun
fun.
playing with Raina too, because like
We just
we're both competitive and I don't know, we like putting on a show.
yeah. And then
So-
like if you know, if I was feeling down or whatever, like Reagan can hype me up, and like vice versa. So it's like all I have to do is look at her and I'd be like, okay, like get back and get like, let's go.
But I know our teammates because like Raina and I would like fight so bad on the court and they would like look at us like, oh my God, the twins are fighting again. And I know they would get like, oh no, but like
But
me
it's
and
like-
Raina are like, it's just what we do. We fight and then we're
5
fine.
seconds later
We're
fine.
like laughing. So but I know they're like, the twins are fighting.
And Tad used to be like, Raina, Reagan. And usually I would have to be the one to go to timeout. When we were 13. I'd have to go sit in timeout, and then he would be like, Raina, are you ready to come back? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, say sorry to Reagan. Sorry.
Do you remember us fighting like 18s or anything?
Yeah, I remember you guys.
There was a couple of times. Yeah.
I remember you guys fighting. It's
I
funny
remember
because
it was like I think it was at nationals and like Raina had went to dig a ball and then I was like trying to be a good player, like setter, and like, oh, let me play defense this one time. And Raina's like, you never play defense.
Like,
Why are you going to go play defense? I was like, I'm supposed to play defense. Knowing that I hate playing defense.
Argue on the court.
It's just like, okay.
There's someone you can let your frustrations out, because if you did that to your other teammates,
teammates, yeah.
you'd be
Yeah.
like,
because
Yeah,
you
that-
know she can take it, and like you guys
Yeah.
be fine afterwards.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the good thing too of playing with like, and I guess like saying like you don't have to be twins, but having that one person that you know you can kind of like take your frustration out on and then they don't
Mhm.
get mad is like really good too to have
Yeah.
when you're playing sports because it's a high intense moment.
Mhm.
It's fun.
Do you guys
Okay.
remember the Tams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like they like in our friend group, like growing up, like they will fight with each other all the time, like in the middle of the group, and everyone's just like, you guys are fighting again, like in front of us.
It's like awkward to like everyone else, but like we're just like it's something we do probably like 10 times a day.
I remember our teammate, and we had a teammate in college. We were on a flight to Miami or somewhere playing, and me and Reagan had gotten in a fight like the day before or something, and like it was actually a pretty bad fight. And so like we weren't talking to each other, so literally it was funny. Like she was like sitting in between us on the flight because we were fighting or whatever. But I remember it was like bad turbulence or something. So then like you forget you're mad. So like I reach over and grab Reagan's hand or whatever. Cause I'm like, oh, if this plane is going down or whatever. And so I need to hold my sister's hand. So it's like then you like those kind of moments, like, why were we even fighting in the first place? And you know what? I don't even remember. You said something awful probably, and I took it the wrong way. I don't know, but it's like
I can be mean.
Yeah, but our teammate, she still texts us about that. She's like, remember that time you and Reagan were fighting, and I had to sit in between you on the plane, and then just all that. So it creates moments for our teammates and us to look back on and laugh. Actually,
Yeah.
So those are fun.
I wish I had a twin. I always wished I had a twin growing up to like compete with me. Like because like I grew up with 3 sisters, and they're like kind of like I have like 2 really younger sisters. I think they're like 22 and 21. But like they were too young for me to compete with growing up. And I have an older sister that's like not competitive at all. So it's like I didn't have anyone to compete with. Like I wanted someone to compete with so bad growing up. So
I mean, the thing is,
we always had
a pepper partner. So I think that's what helped me and Reagan like with volleyball and stuff, because a lot of kids don't actually have someone to like play with them at home.
Yeah.
And just get touches on
the ball. So me and Reagan used to like wherever we were take a ball with us. Like when our sister had tournaments and stuff, we would just be off the side, not even watching her game. We would just find an empty court or whatever, and we're just peppering the whole time. And we were in the house, break windows and stuff. But yeah, just constantly having someone to like play volleyball with you. That I think that's the reason why we were able to build up our skill level so fast. And even I mean our sisters too, there's 4 of us and we're only 3 years apart. So I mean like when our sisters were still home, we were always peppering and playing and stuff too. So just having those siblings closer in age to you that all play the same sport. That was pretty cool.
The closest thing I got to competing with my sister was Tetris. But she did get better than me though. She got way better than me. Yeah. The next question is a more like a deeper question, because you guys probably remember 2 days ago was the anniversary of Kobe and Giannis Bryant's death. So what? And I remember like when we found out the news.
I remember exactly where I was. No, I was literally at my nursing clinical at the hospital, and I was just like it was
me and Thom, we were riding the car together.
We were riding home from a tournament, and you were on the phone with her. Yeah. And you like, I think like it was you who called. I don't remember who called, but you were like,
I think I called Reagan, but I called my mom also because I think I knew Reagan wasn't at home. So I think I called my mom first, and I was like, "Are you watching TV right now?" And she's like, "No."
But I literally remember I was like, when I saw like helicopter crash, I was like, oh, he jumped out, like he's fine. But like that doesn't make any sense for someone to jump out of a helicopter. But in my mind, I was like, he's a superhuman. He's like superhuman. He jumped out the helicopter and survived. That's what I was thinking.
Just like, and I remember it was a little awkward for me because I was like crying and stuff. And I know you guys would like didn't want to say anything. So I'm like on the phone crying. And you guys are probably like, why is she crying so hard?
I think too, like, so our dad played in the NBA as well. So like
he knew Kobe, and
like he knew Kobe, played against Kobe, like coached against him. Fun fact, when Kobe scored 81 points, it was against my dad's team, the Raptors.
Hey, that's
so every time people talk about Kobe's 81-point game, like so like I think
just growing up in that world.
Yeah, growing up in that world, and like Kobe is just like obviously he's like a person and stuff, but like to people, he was just like this mythical, like
He's an icon.
human, like, oh my God, like great player. And so like I think too, for like a lot of your idols, you never like think like something like that would happen to them. And to like his family and stuff like that. So like it was like super devastating
that was so hard.
for me, for like a lot of
For
people.
just everybody, yeah.
Like I was so sad. Like, and I think too, like for any like celebrity or someone that like you follow like passes away or something, like you remember like I remember when Michael Jackson died, like we were getting picked up from school and like we were like, what? Like you just never expect, like, and I think with Kobe, like you just expected him to like live to be like 150 or something like that.
You know, he had just retired and you know he was living the second chapter of his life.
I know.
Then, oh my God.
I think what that's like kind of hurts the most is because like especially with athletes, like we kind of touched on it, like after you're like done with your sport, it's like what are you doing? And like Kobe was like doing that, like he was, you know, producing movies and like stuff like that, and like
with his girls and
you could
stuff.
see like him kind of like thriving, and especially like growing up like with like the NBA like stuff, like with our dad, he wasn't always around, so like um and like it's kind of like now with us, like since he's not like coaching and stuff, like we spend so much more time with him. But it's like I just know like that feeling of having a dad that like always has to travel and stuff. So I just know like for his family too, like it's almost like they just they didn't get, you know, it like sucks because they don't get to like experience like the after, like where you're actually like that
Together
family
all the
unit.
time, yeah.
So I just like that. I think that was a harder part too for me, is because like I just feel like I understand what his like girls like, they just didn't get to experience like the joy that comes after like your dad like retiring from like his sport. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did like specifically for you guys? Like what did Kobe mean to you guys?
I
Why was
think,
it so emotional?
I mean, like with Kobe, like you talk about like the greats like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and like Kobe, like you put like all three of them like up there, but like Kobe was kind of different in the sense that like I just remember like everyone's like, oh, he's like mean, like he's a bad teammate. He like, but he was so like focused and
He made the people around him better.
yeah, made he had like, and it's not that he was like mean or anything, like people would like talk about him like that, but like, he wanted to be the best. And if you ever watch like any documentaries about him, like he was putting in the work even when, you know, later when like he probably didn't really have to, he was still putting in the work to like perfect his craft. And you know, he had high expectations not only of himself but like everyone around him. So I think like a lot of people, like if you play sports, like you can kind of take that, and not saying like, you know, obviously all the other greats don't, but like they would say like Kobe, it was like another level to like what he would go to. I'm not saying that a lot of people have to do that, because you know, some people are just built different. Kobe was built different, but I think it's okay to, you know, be like intense, like, and to perfect your craft, and like, and I feel like for a lot of girls to like look at that and be like, it is okay to hold people to higher expectations. It's okay to hold yourself to a higher expectation and want stuff from other people, and not, you know, and don't apologize for it either. Like he was who he was, and that's who he was. And I don't have to apologize for being that way. I mean, obviously it's easier for a guy, but
Yeah.
to do that, but you know.
Yeah, I think we saw some of like the same, like Reagan said, intensity, you know, because we used to get, when we were younger, I can admit this, you know, when I said things to teammates, it wasn't with the most tact. And I definitely hurt a lot of feelings. And I still regret that. I'm sorry to those that were hurt by things Rhana Mitchell said. But yeah, I mean, just being able to love your sport and just to like go, you know, so far in it, and like really, you know, want to be the best and want to be great, and you know, you love being intense, and you know, not everybody appreciates that. And I think just him being able to do that, and then you saw that, you know, with Gigi and stuff, and his little mambas, you know, just kind of building that for women. And, you know, because for a lot of people, it's like they expect women to like be a certain way. And then so when women do get intense and then do like speak out a lot, oh, they're so aggressive, but like in a bad way. But you wouldn't say that about a guy.
Mhm.
Like if you saw a guy like talking to his teammates or like, you know, being intense and stuff, you're like, yeah, he's the best. Like, that's so great, awesome. But then you
Mhm.
see girls do it, and it's like shameful. You know, and I don't really get that. And so, you know, he was doing a lot for women's sports, you know.
Because I
Um,
feel like now, like the WNBA and like women's, like even like the women's college basketball, like he was putting so much like work because he knew like his daughter wanted to do that and stuff. So
yeah.
like I think the other day, like LSU and South Carolina played and they like got more viewership than like the NBA
game
game
that
or
night.
whatever
Yeah.
that night. So it's just like amazing to see. And even for like women's volleyball, like, you know, all the women's sports, like everything is getting like so big now. And like
Mhm.
that's like it's like so cool to see because I feel like a lot of times like women's sports just like on the back burner. It's just like an afterthought for a lot of people and they're like,
We're real athletes too.
we're real athletes. We put in the same amount of work and
Work.
dedication, all this stuff. And so
Yeah.
it's just good to see like women getting
And that growth that he, you know, he started that. I
getting
feel
their
like he
feet.
really started that growth. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And like with women's volleyball specifically, like yes, watching men's volleyball is exciting because it's like powerful, but
Uh-huh.
women's volleyball is exciting in a sense of like there's so many touches. The
Yeah.
rally, like you know, when the rallies go back and forth, there's a different level of
Mhm.
intensity of like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like
I was literally because I was watching men's college volleyball and I was like getting so annoyed because I was like, can they just freaking serve the ball over the net? Please?
yeah.
Like, but I love like just watching volleyball in general, but I was like getting super annoyed because I was like, if men's could just like have some more rallies, like
Yeah,
this would be like awesome.
yeah.
And
Because
like
it'd be
also with
like
men
an ace or miss
or
serve, like
out. Yeah.
or yeah, you know, like
But then it's like too, like if you do want to have a rally with men's volleyball, like you can't serve as tough. So
yeah,
like you just kind of have to get it in, and then the other team
Yeah.
just slams it down your throat. So then
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh my gosh! But it is exciting too, and like
Yeah.
it's funny how like women's volleyball is more like this is like the only like reversal where like women's
Yeah.
volleyball is
It's like
more
it's bigger
bigger than men's volleyball, but men's volleyball is getting big too. Like I feel like when we were younger, like boys were like, no, volleyball's a girl sport, like blah blah blah. And now
Uh-huh.
you see like so many more like boys and
Yeah,
stuff
that's
playing, and
exciting.
that's fun too.
Okay,
Yeah.
this might be a controversial question, but I've always wondered about if the women's basketball like game rim was lowered, just like how volleyball's net
Uh-huh.
height is lowered for women's versus men,
Uh-huh.
that it would make it more exciting to watch and to like make it a little bit more dynamic for the women's game, which makes more exciting to watch for like just the casual viewer.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Because I know that is a very controversial topic in the WNBA space.
I mean, like the argument, so like really the argument is, you know, um, I just I don't know, because it's like, you know, when you watch women's basketball, because people are like, oh, it's just like women playing or whatever,
Like all they
and they
can do
don't
is shoot a
all they
layup.
can do is shoot a layup, and they don't have as many skills and stuff. But like if you actually watch,
Mhm.
like they're like, yes, we're not as fast as men. Yes, we can't jump as high, but I'm like the skill level, I'm like, you gotta be able to finesse, like, you know,
Mhm.
and I think, and so like in that standpoint, it's like, you know, it's almost like a mentally harder game in a certain way.
And I
Mhm.
don't think like with women's basketball, like I don't need like to see someone doing like an alley-oop,
Yeah,
like windmill dunk.
yeah, I don't need that.
Like I don't really need that from them. I mean, yeah, I guess it's fun, but it's not
It's
like
not
my
necessary.
yeah. Like obviously it's fun to see that with the guys. Like, let me
Mhm.
do like a 360 windmill. Okay. But I don't know if I necessarily
I don't
need
really
that.
see, I feel like I need that. Yeah.
But also with
What
like volleyball,
about
like, scoring the
the
net, like
casual viewer though? Because do you guys because you guys have grown up watching basketball, so
Yeah.
you guys know the game, but the casual viewer is not gonna really understand what's happening.
But it's like, do you? I don't know. It's like, do you expect girls to be throwing down dunk? I don't know. It's
Oh
like,
no, not throwing down dunks, but like I would actually go watch a game if I saw a girl dunk on a girl.
Oh,
That would be exciting to me personally.
I mean, uh,
I mean, it's I don't know because like you said, like I don't really
it's
know
hard
how
for me to put like in a casual, like be a casual
to
viewer.
and
Yeah.
be like try to imagine like, if Angel Reese was throwing down dunks right now, like would it make me want to watch more basketball? I don't
I
know.
guarantee you I would.
Maybe like for that.
Well, because but it's funny.
Mhm.
It's not even necessarily about them throwing down the dunks. It's like if like Angel Reese like postered some girl or whatever, the aftermath of that, it would immediately start a fight. And I think
That's
I think
true.
that's
Yeah.
more.
I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
more
I think with the
entertainment
girls,
value.
like the stare downs and stuff,
Yeah.
and knowing that they're about to like throw hands is more exciting than
Yeah.
like doing like a 360.
Like with
movement.
guys, like they get a dunk or whatever.
They
it's like,
fight,
okay,
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
But like if a girl actually did that,
Yeah, that would be
like that would
entertaining
be
to
like the
watch.
bench would be cleared, like,
Yeah, I think that'd be more
And
exciting.
I think that's the exciting part, which is like the girls do get a lot more chippy and stuff, which like is always fun.
So I think with like the guys, like especially like kind of with like I like think about like Draymond Green and stuff, and like I just feel like people are like tired of him like fighting. Like
Yeah.
every time I see like the guys start fighting, like here we go again. But like if you see a girl like after with the LSU and the
Yeah.
South Carolina game, like they had like I think they blocked like one of the girls blocked Angel Reese's shot, and then you could see the girl on the camera go like this. I was like, oh, here we go. Like they're
Like,
getting
so-
into it. The girls are
I was
fighting.
like,
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, I think the drama of it would be more entertaining than the
Yeah.
actual dunk itself. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I've always wondered that, like, because I hear Shaq talked about it, like
Mhm.
it's like what if, and it would just make more eyeballs go towards the game, and then they'll get
Yeah.
more of what they want, which is exposure, and then
Mhm.
endorsements, and then more money, basically. Just what I think, but I don't follow basketball that much to actually have any meaningful insight.
Well, you know how like so like with volleyball, they're talking about should we allow like doubles now?
Mhm.
And I get so like I understand like if like a ref is calling a lot of doubles, it slows the games down. It's kind of sucks. But like and especially as a setter, it's like I feel like I've perfected my craft so that I don't double. And like obviously I still would double, but it's like as a setter, if you're doubling, I think you're trash.
Mhm.
Like, and not as a like you can still double, but like as a
You're doubling all the time. Like
as a
You're talking about like
setter,
all the time, just like
yeah, like as a setter, if you're doubling all the time, like I'm like you should not be setting.
Mhm.
And like I just like hate this conversation, like don't just because like the viewer wants it to be like a certain way, don't disrespect like all the work and time that like an athlete has put into like perfect their craft just so
Mhm.
that like someone makes it more appealing to watch. Like, and I think it would be less appealing to see like
so
that
annoying.
because like most volleyball people know like you should not double.
Mhm.
Like if you're the setter, you should not be doubling the ball. Like you should have the best hands on the court. So like I just get kind of mad when they say that just because it would make
They
the
want to
game
keep the rallies going.
keep the
I'm
rallies
like,
going. I'm just like, no. And there's so
let,
much
let me be
this.
devil's advocate real quick.
Oh,
Let me be devil's advocate real quick. So I see that point, but the counterpoint to that, which I've seen other people make, I really haven't sat down and thought about it myself to actually see what side I'm on. But the counterpoint to that is um if you will always have an advantage as a setter to perfect your craft, whether you double or not double. Like if you're a setter that doubles all the time, that
Mhm.
means you probably haven't taken the time to practice setting that much.
Yeah.
So that rule change wouldn't necessarily give that setter the advantage in terms of like oh, this is just gonna help her win the game because she can just do whatever she wants. The advantage is always going to be with the setter that puts in more time to perfect her craft.
Yeah.
I think the intent of the rule change is so that setters are less scared of doubling, so they can get their hands on the ball more, so that they can perfect their craft when they're playing, versus like, oh, I don't want to double, let me platform set because I don't want to double and then cost my team the game because the ref is just going to call a double. And also because of the officiating being so subjective for doubles. Like some refs call doubles, some refs don't.
Yeah.
And I think that
But I feel like we've gone away. Like we've relaxed the double rule enough to where like we don't have to get rid of it.
Because when we first started playing, it was like anytime the ball spun,
it was
a double.
You really had to have
no spin at all. And then they changed it to where it's like if the hands were clean, so like the ref had to focus more on like the hand placement on the ball. So it's like if the hands were symmetrical, whatever, and the ball just happened to have a little bit of spin, like it's not a double. But yeah, but again, it's like it's a judgment call. So it's like some refs are gonna be like super strict on it, some refs are not.
But even like in college nowadays, like I watch and I'm like,
they're not
when I was playing, I was like, they would have called this like all the time. And even like just watching on TV, I'm like, they're not calling anything right now.
No, they're not.
So it's like, I don't know why we have to like just get rid of it completely. Like, I just feel like if it's a bad touch,
it's a bad touch. Yeah. It's a bad touch.
Like,
do you think ultimately that rule change is going to hurt the game or help the game?
I don't know.
I mean, I see the point of what where like, because obviously if you're a setter and you're doubling all the time, like it's not going to be a good set. Like you're not going to be able to set your hitters. So
I guess
it's like
really more taking it out of the ref's hands, I guess.
But it's I guess it's just like that subjective like call. But it's just like, I feel like even now, people are getting mad when they're not calling it anyway.
Oh, sorry,
so
that was really loud.
Like I feel like there's time, like the refs aren't calling the doubles anyway right now. So it's like, I feel like that ruins the game more, because then it's like when they do call that double, it's like, well, you weren't calling it on my team, but now this one ball you want to call it, like you have to call it both ways. So I guess in that retrospect, like it would be better just to not call anything. But then it's also just like from my, like I said, from my standpoint, it's just like, I just feel like that's part of the game. Like having clean hands and stuff like that. So but maybe
what
I'm
about at the younger level? Like, do you think it'd be better to be like start calling doubles at but that wouldn't be very consistent. But like I feel like at the younger level, I would be more towards that rule change at the young level, just so that they can just play freely versus like thinking so much about like
I mean, honestly, at our last tournament, like I don't think they called one double.
Yeah.
At least on the setters, unless it was like I think they called it if it was like really bad, like basically falling down, hitting you in the face. But like at the lower level, I don't feel like they call it at all anyway.
Like they might call like
starting maybe like 15s, they'll start calling it more.
Yeah.
And
I thought they only call it on the setters though.
Yeah, and I guess for like the division, so if you're 12 and playing open, like I guess there's more standards,
Right.
other than, if you're just like a team that has really just started out. I don't know. I don't know.
We'll just have to see what they say.
We'll just have to see. Yeah.
I just feel like with volleyball in general, they're just like
they're starting to
so many things are changing. Yeah. And I think it's just with the popularity of the sport, like there's more focus and stuff on it. So
probably eventually you'll be able to hit the net, I guess.
Like it's hard.
It's so hard
because in club, if it doesn't interfere with the play, like you can go under, or like what is it? You can.
I mean, you can like if you're not actively playing,
you can touch.
It's like a judgment.
But in college, if you touch anything, it's over. So I think that's hard too, from the girls going from like
even in high school,
to
if you
like
touch it anywhere, it's
like I feel like that needs to be like the USA and like AAU and stuff like that.
It just needs to be.
I think it needs to be consistent. So like
make official rules, and it applies to high school, applies to club, it applies to
college,
professional, like
professional.
whatever. Like if you want to adopt the professional rules, then adopt the professional rules, I guess. I don't know.
But it's like hard going from season to season, be like, what's the rule on this? What's like, because even when we're like down roughing, I'm like, can they touch a net? Can they not touch a net? Can they? I know like you have to have your whole foot under, but then like it's like all this stuff, and I'm just like, I think that needs to be more consistent because all these girls are playing club, high school, are going to college, so I don't understand why there's like such a difference. And I guess like in college, you're supposed to be like in control of your body and more like
whatever. I think that's just what's more frustrating. The inconsistency, because even in high school, like literally the last tournament, you know, in high school, when you put the lineup in, you have to put it in like the actual serving order, like on the lineup sheet, so you don't put it in like the actual spot on the court. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so last weekend,
messing me up all the time.
messed me up. But last whatever, we had this team reffing, and so the lady was like, oh yeah, they changed the rule where it has to be service order. So they had messed up our rotation like on the score sheet or whatever. And we're like, that's not a rule. Like, when did they change that rule? And I thought I had missed it because I had watched the video where they update you. I was like, I don't remember them saying that. And so it was like this whole back and forth. And I'm like, see, if it was just consistent, we wouldn't have these issues. You know, because most people that coach club, a lot of people also coach high school. So it's like when you have to go back and forth like that, it just makes it confusing for everybody. So that was just one example.
Don't ask me to put in a high school lineup because that would be messed up. That would be messed up.
So and just that score sheet, I wish they would just adopt the same score sheet.
Yeah, I just wish it would be the same.
Yeah, I feel like high school's behind the times.
Yeah, and high school has so many subs.
Yeah. Subs. I was like,
that's what slows the game down.
It feels like unlimited subs almost. Like I never run out of subs.
But it's like if you have a set lineup and you don't really have like subs, like you may run a 6-2 or whatever, but it's like you're not just like putting random people in like all the time. So I'm like, at the end of the game, you use what, 4 subs?
Yeah.
Talking about subs, I think too, like we're like kind of talking about like the intensity and stuff like that. Like I feel like now everyone runs a 6-2. Like in the lower level, like high school, club, or whatever. Obviously, college, you're still running a 5-1, but it's like I get like, and I say this a lot. I feel like club is the new rec volleyball. And I know people are like, yes, everyone should have the opportunity to play club, but as a setter, I'm not running a 6-2, and that's like that was part of my like thing. Like I even told like one of my teammates who was a setter / hitter. And it worked out because she could hit too, but like I told her, you're not setting. I'm running a 5-1. But like, yeah. But I was just like, now like every team, and our team has it too. And maybe it's because like, you know, we have more hitters and stuff, but I feel like this is where the competitive like kind of drops because a lot of the girls know like no matter what they're gonna get in the game. So like there's no like at practice, there's no like competition to be like, okay, I'm beating you out for your spot. And that's the good thing about college is like you have to beat someone out of their spot. But like in club, like you can't manifest that competitiveness because as another setter, I know I'm going in to play my 3 rotations no matter what, unless I'm doing like horribly, and then we have to run a 5-1 or something like that. And that's kind of where I think like a lot of like girls with being competitive like drops off because you don't have to fight for anything right now.
That makes sense. It's a different time.
That's what I would say. And
people
like,
are putting like 15 people on a club team.
I know.
Like
I feel like even though I'm only 28, like, and this is like with my teaching and stuff too. I'm like, am I just like that hateful? like I feel like such a boomer or something. Like I'm like, oh, now I'm turning into one of those people like complaining all the time. But I'm like, literally the difference that like 10 years makes.
It's huge.
It's huge. I'm like, I just can't believe.
Think about it. You existed. You socialized before social media was a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Once social media came in, the world changed. Like, the iPhone, social media, world changed.
Yeah. Just like
I didn't get a phone till 7th grade, and the phone was like where you could only call your mom and 911. Like
What was
that
it called? A Firefly?
Firefly or something like that. But like
You
now,
do
like
sound
you have,
old.
but like that was
Like literally.
legit. And the only reason we got the phone is because we started playing travel. So like when we would have like carpool and stuff like that. So like, but now like
I have like I teach fifth grade, and like literally for the kids like Christmas and birthday and just for whatever they have like the newest iPhone,
I still have an iPhone 11.
the newest iPhone, and I'm like,
I remember it was like in middle school, it was so scandalous because Facebook had come out and it was so scandalous. You like made a Facebook page and you had to like pretend to be like 30 years older. Because remember, like Facebook, you
Yeah.
had to be like
Yeah.
30, I
Yeah.
felt like, to even have
probably like 16 or something.
it was not 16, it
It
was
might have
way
been
older
older.
than that. But like it's just like just
Yeah.
the times, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like with social media, everything's at your like it's like with me, it's like everything's at your fingertips, but then it's also like nothing's real world, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's like this alternate like
Reality.
so like with a lot of girls, I'm like, do you guys like hear yourself right now?
Like let's put the phones
let's
down.
put the phones down, let's focus.
Socialize.
Yeah.
But then everything's just like also heightened because like now anyone can comment on like anything you post, and it's like
Mhm.
you have all these bots and trolls and all that stuff, and that's why I like social media, but like I also hate it, so I never post like my own like content or anything because I'm just like I'm not having Sandy from Topeka, Kansas commenting on my stuff, like please.
Do you ever get hate comments?
Surprisingly, even though I'm a content creator, I'm not on social media that much. And people will be like, "Oh, why aren't you following me back?" I didn't even know you were following me in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't follow people like that because I, it's almost became it's like basically a job. And when it's something
Yeah.
becomes a job, like
Mhm.
you really only do it because you have to do it, not because you want to do it.
Funny enough, Virginia Tech, my undergrad. So my undergrad degree is actually in public relations.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I spent like I called myself doing an internship. I was literally just fall after my senior season. I was like I didn't go home at first to come back home because Reagan was still up in Blacksburg, and so I was gonna be like the social media intern. And I
Mhm.
started doing that, and I lasted probably like 3-4 weeks, and I was like I'm not doing this
She's like,
anymore.
I hate this.
I hate it. Just thinking about what to post.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, let me go back to school and figure out what I really want to do. Cause I was like, this is not
This is
it.
not it.
I spent my
Yeah.
4 years getting that degree. I mean, like whatever, but
Yeah, you can
I
get
Yeah.
didn't use it at all.
Yeah. Like I try to stay engaged with like people who follow me, but it's like literally like you should see my notifications. It's endless. And I'm just like I can't like keep up. So
Yeah.
like I just try to do what I can. Like I check my DMs obviously, but like in terms of like comments, I don't read too many comments.
Yeah.
I try to reply to the comments that do, but like it's just too much to keep up. But I do get hates sometimes, and because especially because volleyball is like an art, and
Yeah.
it's like people teach different ways and stuff, and I'll see people telling me I'm doing it wrong all the time, and I'm just like, I've if I had gotten this when I first started volleyball, it would have hit me like a truck, like insecurities and all that stuff. But I've been doing it long enough to understand that even in the world of fitness, people people be commenting on people that like are pretty high level and that I like follow and I get a lot from. And they would go to them like Squat University and like all this stuff. And they'll go to them and be like, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. Oh no, this is true. This is not true." And I'm just like, everyone has their own way of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
like, you can't please everyone. So I've just got to the point where I'm just like, I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing what works for me and the athletes that I teach.
Yeah.
And that's about that.
Well, we enjoy your content, so
Oh, thank you.
that's all
Thank
that
you very
matters.
much. I
The
try.
people who don't enjoy
The
your
people
content.
they like you still.
Yeah. That's all that matters.
All right. So last question. If you had to give your teenage self a piece of advice for life, what would it be?
I think me, like, when I was like younger, I was more type A like personality. I was like, I felt like I was like so uptight and stuff like that. I'm just like now I'm just like Reagan. if you would have just like relaxed a little bit, like I feel like my life is like so easy now because like I care obviously about like a lot of stuff, but it's like the stuff that I care about, like if something happens, I'm like, whatever. Like if you just like brush it off, like you would be like so much happier, like with this like your life and that plays into like your mental health too. Like if like a lot of people can just like brush stuff off and like not let it affect them, then
It's hard to do, but
I know it's hard to do, but like I feel like I've really
Yeah.
gotten to the point where I've like I'm like almost so zen right now.
Zen.
Like even at practice, like I get mad and Tad's like, Reagan's getting mad. But I'm like, I'm not really getting mad. Like I'm just like, voicing my opinion right now. But like it's never out of anger.
Yeah.
Like, and I like it may like, and a lot of people like something may look like you're yelling or something, but it's really never out of anger. It's just like
it's because you know that they can do better, and
you know that they
you
can do
want it
better.
for them.
Yeah. And it's like I'm not angry at you. I'm just like telling you in a louder voice so that you can hear me.
Yeah.
But when I tell you like I'm not angry, like I'm really not angry. So I think like a lot of people like if Rhegan Mitchell, when she was like staying
Shut
up to like 2 a.m. doing a like homework assignment, like if you would have just let them like whatever, like
Yeah.
it. And what my mom always told me too, like her saying is it always works out in the end.
I was
Like,
gonna say
and
that.
it really like stuff like really works out. Like if you do what you're supposed to do and all that stuff, like it really does work out in the end. Like obviously people have like tragedies and stuff, but like not that kind of stuff, but like just like day to day, like
Mhm.
it all works out. Maybe not exactly how you want it, but like you'll get there. So don't stress about like the little things,
Yeah. And I guess for me, it's kind of the same because it's like every year you kind of do like a reflection, like where were you a year ago?
Mhm.
And so it's like, obviously, if I could go back and tell Raina, like, and Reagan was type A, I was so type B, like literally, like
We were
that
night
was
and day.
that was the only thing about
We would get
us
so
that
mad at
was
each
like the
other.
opposite. But I mean, because like I think about just like kind of Reagan said, it's like you stress about stuff and then you really never know how you're going to turn out. Like obviously you have to consistently put in like good work and effort and stuff.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's just like when I was a teenager, I probably couldn't tell you that I would be teaching elementary school and, coaching volleyball. Like I probably would have never thought that because that wasn't necessarily my dream. But yeah, it's kind of, I was going to say what Reagan said, like our mom always says, everything works out. I remember my first year teaching, I was at a school that will not be named. Um, and I thought that I was like, I can't be a teacher, like this is not for me. And just looking back at that year, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but it will work out. And then just looking at me now, I'm just like, oh, if people could just like see what their life's like in the future, like
I know.
obviously, like there's things that you have to deal with and things that have happened that have been sad, but just like the overall outlook, it's like don't put too much pressure on yourself.
And like I think like me and Raina, like I feel like especially like with women, there's like certain expectations like, oh, you need to do this by this age, this by this age, you need to have this or whatever. But like I think me and Raina like generally like enjoy our lives right now.
And just live each day by
And
day.
like, yeah, like I like really have no complaints. I will say with like nursing, if I could just wake up a little later. That's it. Just not waking up at 5:45. But other than that, like I love my life. So like anyone who's struggling younger, like just worrying about the future, like
You don't really have to.
don't worry about it. It's okay.
As long as you put in like the consistent work.
Yeah,
and
be
energy
consistent.
and put out kind things.
Kind
Things will
things.
happen to you.
Have
Never
good
look at that.
relationships.
Yeah.
Just kind of
Just focus on the people that have been with you.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm just, I don't know. I want peace for everybody. I know that sounds
It's like just I want everyone to be
I just want
happy.
people to be happy. I just hate like, and now growing up, because I feel like a lot of times I was like so angry and stuff, and I was like, I don't know why I was angry, but that's part of growing up and being a teenager and stuff.
Yeah.
But just like, if you could just like,
Just let it go.
not that you don't want to care what people think of you, because obviously you want to be like a good person in general. But just like, just let stuff go. Just I feel like my friend Kamada. she's
Yeah.
like she's like a Zen, like California girl, whatever. Like just like
I think
yeah,
for like, especially for like our like athletes, like if you
just enjoy
just
the moment.
stop caring like what other people like think about you
Be free.
and be free, like, and just like kind of get out of those like restrictions that society put on us, like you'll be good.
I
You'll laugh more.
I know, I just be happy and joy. I
You'll
know, and
happy, you'll
I
smile.
hate saying that because like for some people it's like really hard, like life
Yeah,
has
life is
really
hard. Yeah.
difficult challenges. And we've been blessed to like obviously there's been challenges and stuff, but we've been able to like get through them, especially like having each other. So I'm not trying to be like I don't want to get hate comments.
I know.
Like,
Like,
to be
life
like,
is
oh,
not happy.
life is not happy and stuff. I don't want that, but yeah, but I'm just
Or I would say control the things that you can control. Like obviously there's uncontrollable things, but like the stuff that you can control.
Wow. You got
But like yeah, like the
He's
things
the
that you
cutest
can
mom.
control. Um
that's like what's
see,
that?
that's like uncontrollable.
That's
Like
uncontrollable. That's like that. What's that guy that was on the TV, the news correspondent, where his daughter had
daughter
come
was
in,
like
and the wife had to like come grab her. That was so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the things that you can control right now in your life, like control
Let's
them,
focus on that.
focus on them, you know, try to keep a positive mindset,
Yeah.
Yeah.
glass is always half full.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time. And if people wanted to follow your team or follow you, whatever one, you might have changed your mind, but like what where can
I'm on
they find
private
you?
school.
Yeah, don't follow us because you'll be bored out of your mind. You'll get one post update every 2 years. But our team is tsunami.tad14 on Instagram. So if you want to follow our journey,
Our girls are great. Our parents are great.
Yeah, the parents really like this has probably been like the best team in terms of like parental support and stuff. And like they got the girls like these extra pair of shoes, like embroider their stuff. They, one of the moms is like really focused on like the social media stuff. So she's always doing like cool videos, like the dads and like all that stuff. So I think this season is gonna be like really special. Just in terms of just like the whole and some of those girls. Like they're really great girls. So yeah, so follow us on Instagram and see what we're up to.
Okay.
So okay.
Well, thank you for coming on.